Hello and welcome to the Columbia Daily Tribune's Behind the Stripes football webcast. This is Tribune sports editor Joe Waljesper along with Tribune football beat writer Dave Matter. Dave, Missouri coming off a sort of depressing for them 31-27 loss to Syracuse. A game that Missouri, I think after they win that game at Tennessee, kind of expects to win, expects to get bowl eligible. And then Sheldon Richardson gets suspended. It all kind of goes downhill from there. They fail to cover Alec Lemon ever. They don't pressure the quarterback, and it all sort of falls apart.
Lose their quarterback again.
They lose their quarterback again. So now they're sitting at 5-6. They're a 22-point underdog to beat Texas A&M, which does not sound terribly promising. So in all likelihood, we're looking at the first losing season since 2004. Where do you assign the blame, if there is blame, for what has happened here?
Well, I think you got to look on the offensive side first, because the defense has played well enough for this to be a better season than it has been. And offensively, I know the injuries are a big factor, but I think even if healthy, I'm not sure that this offense was really that equipped for this team to be much better than average. You know, you look at Texas A&M, and maybe it's unfair to compare the two programs, but that's a team with a new coach, new systems, new quarterback, new everything. But they have a really solid offensive line. I think that's part of the reason that they're having a lot of success and Missouri isn't. I don't know if Missouri would have stayed healthy on their line if they would have been able to go toe-to-toe with some of these SEC defenses. And really, they wouldn't have had to have beaten those great teams like Alabama and Georgia and South Carolina. If they just would have beaten Vanderbilt and Syracuse, we'd probably be sitting here talking about a team that's going to an okay bowl game and you know, survived the first year in the SEC and won 7 games and did okay. But
they lost 4 home games.
Yeah, they lost 4 home games and 2 when they were favored over teams that frankly they should have beaten.
I think there maybe is a little bit of a larger, beyond the injuries, or it's kind of the unforeseen stuff. I guess one of the questions for me is, to what extent is Gary Pinkel maybe starting to lose a little bit of his grip on the discipline of the program? I remember when he came in, he was like, there's an article in Sports Illustrated, he was the Lord of Discipline, and he was like, if someone was 5 minutes early, they were late, and he was throwing people out of meetings left and right. And I just wonder if that has slipped a little bit. You've now got the best player on your team is kind of the squirrely guy that, you know, can't be bothered to go to class, and apparently is kind of getting away with it, and then at the most inopportune time getting suspended. It seems like in certain ways, you look at this team, and I don't know, you know, they get penalized more than they used to. I don't know. I just don't see the earmarks of a really tightly knit, well-coached team the way you kind of could say it was during his heyday here. Right. And then his take, we kind of talked about this yesterday at the press conference, his take is that it was almost 100% injury-related, that, you know, even the 2007 team, if they'd had the same kind of injuries, would have maybe only won 7 games instead of 12. I don't know. Do you believe that?
I don't think so, because for one, if you take away the quarterback off those teams, and Chase Daniel was so good, I think they're still better there. And I didn't mention this earlier, but I don't think they were good enough at the backup quarterback job this year to where you know, they were even that functional. I think that, yeah, you can't go into a season expecting to lose your quarterback, but when the guy had shoulder surgery in March, I think you have to do a better job of getting the backups ready. And this year, that cost them.
They had a lot of misses. Recruiting misses at that position. Yeah. You talk about the guy who probably would have been next in line. You go all the way back to someone like Blaine Dalton, who had some character problems. Yeah. Then you took a chance on Ashton Glazer. I think was going to be the number 2 guy in that class, and just that was never a guy they were comfortable with. He transfers. You can kind of go on and on down the line of guys.
Tyler Gabbert,
who probably gave up on his career at Missouri too quick, but I don't know that he was ever going to be a Division I major quarterback. But I think maybe in the evaluation process, as much as anything, they had some misses on guys they thought could play quarterback, and either through character problems or through just talent problems weren't ready. So you're thrusting Corbin Bergstresser into it, who, yeah, he's been here 2 years. He's a redshirt freshman, but he didn't. Last game excluded. He wasn't ready to play that much.
Yeah. I think everybody on the offense can take some of the blame except Kendall Lawrence. I mean, he's on pace for a 1,000-yard season, and as much as we talked about the receivers having this so much potential, when they were really struggling offensively at the quarterback position and on the offensive line, those guys had some pretty rough games. Now they've come on lately, and Gary Pinkel would say that's because James Franklin was healthy, but they were dropping some very catchable passes there when they needed those guys to step up. And I think that kind of just goes back to accountability. I think it goes back to some leadership issues on this team. Maybe those 07 and 08 teams. Would the best player back then get away with maybe what Sheldon Richardson got away with now? I don't think so, because you had guys like Lorenzo
Williams. You didn't have to
Williams,
cater to him.
you had Martin Rucker, you had Tommy Saunders, guys who didn't stand for that kind of stuff. And not to knock guys like Will Ebner and T.J. Moe and Elvis Fisher, but I just think that the dynamics of the leadership and the personality of the team is a little bit different. And you got to look.
It's do you have someone else behind him that
Right.
It's easier to suspend somebody if you think the guy behind him can play
Right.
at a high enough level, and I
Right.
don't know that they have that feeling.
No, and it didn't look that way the other night. No.
Well, one more game. We'll be back next week to kind of give the post-mortem, we assume, on the Missouri season. Or you never know. Look forward to a bowl game.
Maybe.
All right.